Good evening, folks. Welcome to our first public council meeting in the City of Mount Pearl, January 14th, 2025. Happy New Year, everybody. And it's good to see everybody here in attendance tonight. We have some volunteers in the room. We see some people with the Frosty Festival, which we're about to talk about. And I see someone over there who's celebrating a 43rd birthday in February. Somebody who's as old as snow, not as old as dirt. And I'm glad to welcome Frosty as well to this public council meeting. Council, the agenda is before you. I'd like to call for a motion to adopt the agenda. Thank you, Councillor Lane. Second by Councillor Rice. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. In recognition of the City of Mount Pearl's commitment to foster respectful and collaborative relationships with Indigenous peoples in the City of Mount Pearl and beyond, we hereby acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. Mount Pearl and the broader metro region continue to be home to diverse Indigenous peoples, including First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. Minutes are before you, Council, from December 10th. It's been a while. Before I ask for a motion to adopt, is there any errors or omissions? Hearing none. Looking for another motion. Thank you, Councillor Antle. I saw your hand up. Moved by Councillor Antle, second by Councillor Fry, that we adopt the minutes. All in favor? Contraminded? That is carried as well. Moving right along. Business arising, please. Please.
673, the fireworks New Year's Eve. I know we did get some correspondence from residents, as we do every year, Mayor, regarding the discharge of fireworks, outside our regulated time period that we'd set here from 12:30 a.m. From midnight until 12:30 a.m. or dusk, I'm sorry, until 12:30 a.m. And as every year, there was a demand that we ban or somehow regulate the fireworks. And based on conversation with some of my council colleagues over the years, and also with some residents during the season, that's a bigger decision. It's hard for us to, the thousands of fireworks that I saw set off in the City of Mount Pearl, it would be impossible for our municipal enforcement officers to enforce the regulations. And as I said to one of the residents that reached out, this is a larger conversation perhaps at the provincial level, who regulates where these are sold. In some jurisdictions, it's government regulated. So maybe we got to explore the option of maybe only municipalities are able to set off fireworks, only the provincial government can sell the fireworks. I know this is going to impact some local businesses that sell the fireworks. But my response to the resident, who issued concern over their pets, and there's some folks, that have sensitivities to the loud noises, it triggers memories and all these sorts of issues. It's a tough one to regulate. So we need to perhaps look at limiting who can sell these fireworks. So I just I said I would raise it at our first public meeting, that it hasn't fallen on deaf ears, and that we would look into this further. We have done this almost every year in my tenure on council. This is an issue. It's just that some areas across the province, in rural areas, it's not deemed as big a concern because they're on bigger lots. They're in rural settings. But in urban centers like ours, where you're on 50 by 100-foot lots, it is an issue for some people with their pets, with their children, like I said, with sensitivities. So I just wanted to, again, I committed to the resident that I would bring it up here tonight, that we will pursue this further. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Rice?
No, I want to comment on that as well, actually, because I had a lot of conversations with people who got pets, and they're asking the question when it's starting and when it's going to be over, and I give them the times, but the problem is it's not happening in those time frames. So we had one pet I see there that was I think it was down the East End that actually died in St. John's from I guess, yep, scary, isn't that right? But I had an interesting, actually, email today from a guy over in Hamilton Wood, Earl Reid, sent me an email, and what they done last year on their street in Hamilton Wood, they went around house to house. They had so many people putting off individual fireworks, and the fireworks were going on the roofs of people's houses and so on and so forth. So they got together on the whole street, and they decided to have it out in the field, open field, and a certain amount of people. They put their money together, and they had people that were, I guess, they had the proper gear for putting the fireworks into. They purchased it, and they ended up having a good result by doing that. So now, it might be something like Councillor Locke mentioned, we got to be able to control it a bit better, because we had people putting it off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then like 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard there was people setting off fireworks. So, and the municipal enforcement will never control it. I agree 100%. So I'd like to see some more guidelines or some more conversation around it. So that's just my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lane.
Yeah, and there was also a lot of resident feedback that I've seen wondering why the city doesn't put off our own fireworks show. Director, would you be able to elaborate on that perhaps?
Thank you, Councillor Lane. There's a couple of reasons. One is in Mount Pearl, with the density of the homes and the elevation, prevailing winds, it's tough to find the proper location to put off commercial fireworks. We have explored laser shows over the years, and even most recently some kind of drone shows. And that's possible in the future. Right now, there's no one locally to do that. So right now it's cost prohibitive.
So it would be more of a safety issue, right? Because in Mount Pearl, we don't have a spot. Sorry, I was just saying it was more of a safety issue, right? Because this has been discussed before, that there is no place in Mount Pearl where we can properly put off the fireworks in a safe manner, which is why we as a city don't put them off. And this comes up every year, which is why I wanted to ask the director about it, because it's always good for residents to know that it's not like lack of wanting to put off a show, because I think that it's enjoyable for a lot of people, but safety has to come first and foremost. And for that reason, we haven't pursued the option of putting out the actual fireworks.
Councillor Fry. Thanks, Councillor Lane.
Yeah, this is something that comes up every year, because I remember when I first got elected, this was something that I wanted to work on. And, we've talked about it. And as Councillor, I think it was Councillor Rice said, it's hard for our municipal enforcement officers to really enforce it, because by the time they get there, the fireworks are done, and then how do you prove who did it? So it's really difficult to do unless, residents report other residents, maybe. But of course, you don't want to be encouraging neighbors to tell on neighbors. So it's the kind of thing that requires a bigger discussion, and it is an issue. I personally live on a green belt, and there's a playground behind me. And I can tell you the fireworks are going crazy, and I was really concerned because it was so close to my roof. I mean, I am concerned, and I do understand people's concerns over this. So it is a real concern. And just to Councillor Locke's point, it is something that we have had many discussions on. We're not turning a blind eye to it, but we have to do it right, and we'll get there. We'll find a solution somewhere along the way. Thank you.
All right, moving on along. I think that's the conversation has been exhausted. Anything on the minutes again, folks, please? So hearing none, I'm going to turn to that section. We call it proclamations. And in past years, we would have the Frosty Festival, board of directors come in. But there's a new format involved now with the Frosty. Lots of good volunteers from here in the city of Mount Pearl. A little bit more of an active role by the city. I want to invite Councillor Fry on behalf of the Recreation and Community Services Committee to speak about the wonderful 43rd Frosty Festival.
Oh, we are so excited about this Frosty Festival. And seeing Frosty in the audience, boy, oh boy, it gets real now. So it's around the corner, believe it or not. This is the middle of January, and this time a month from now, we'll be in the thick of it all. So just for the information of public, of the public. Ticket sales will commence online on Monday, January the 20th at 12 noon. And that's going to be online at frostyfestival.ca. And for those who do not have access to purchase online on Monday, January 20th, there will be an in-person purchase on Wednesday, January 22nd at the Reed Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's there's going to be a limited number there. So we do encourage people to purchase online if at all possible. So for those that require accessibility purchasing of tickets, please reach out to Inclusion NL for assistance at 709-697-3323. And of course, as always, we have very popular events and a lot of them do sell out early. So purchase early to avoid disappointment. And we've got some amazing events coming up. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Councillor Locke, to talk about the wonderful events that are coming up. And we're all looking forward to Frosty Festival this year.
Thank you, Councillor Fry. Thank you, Mayor. We were reminiscing out in the foyer just before our meeting with some of our volunteers about past Frosty events and all the excitement and the hockey game that once existed between the high schools. We used to call it the Chicken Cup, you know, back in the day, and we had buttons and there was snow sculpting and, you know, it was so exciting. And I said out there, I get excited this time every year. Every year I get excited around the Frosty Festival, despite being, you know, a little older, but it still brings joy here. And like Councillor Fry said, ticket sales are coming, but we have, I think I counted 28 events from February the 6th right up until February the 16th. So, and there's activities there for everybody. So I won't go through all of them, but I recommend that you get on the frostyfestival.ca website or the city website, and you can see all the events that are available. Tickets sales go on sale the 20th. So go through, pick out your events. But some of the ones is I know Councillor Bill will like this. On February the 8th is a big birthday party at the Glacier. And there's the kitchen party that night of the Glacier, what happens to coincide with Councillor Bill's birthday. So he always brags every year that the city throws a big birthday for Councillor Bill. So that's one of the things. We have everything from birthday parties, outdoor activities, something for the youth, something for the teens, something for adults of all ages. So again, there's 28 there. I just encourage our residents to have a look through, and I look forward to seeing you at the festival. Thank you, Mayor.
No, thank you both. Council, anybody? Okay, other colleagues, all right.
I just wanted to mention, all of the events are listed in the Pearl Pulse that has gone out this past week. So all residents should have one in their mailbox, and everything is inside there. And so I also wanted to say a thank you to our volunteers for making this possible, because I know that this doesn't happen easily, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and we have the absolute best. So that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Yeah, a quick note there from Councillor Birthday Andel.
Just a quick note, Your Worship, yes, I'm certainly looking forward to the Frosty Festival, but I'd be remiss in not letting you know that it's also Councillor Locke's birthday at the same time. So we happen to be twins on our birth dates. One of us are older than the other, and I won't say which one it is. But it's certainly a great time. I mean, Frosty Festival, I think we're all going to chat on Frosty Festival. When I first got on council, I found out what the Frosty Flu was. All right, as we go to so many events, the events are also well attended, and for you guys, the volunteers, to go out of your way, and I mean, you want make the festival what it is. And Frosty is so busy; it's one person doing a lot of work, and I'm looking forward to the Frosty Festival again. And happy birthday to her, Councillor.
I think Councillor Rice is next. I'm looking around the table.
I was
here.
going to talk about that round table, but I'm seeing that we're going around the table now. I'll talk about it now. No, I agree. Like, I've been in Mount Pearl 38 years, and I took my kids. I mean, my three girls now are 29, 27, and 24, and we've been there since, you know, we could get them in and get them going. And like Councillor Andel just mentioned, it's all built on volunteers and the support of the city through funding. But I know that the Frosty Festival committee that was there before, that was incorporated, certainly worked hard. And I commend them for the work that they've done over the past 43 years. it's a big undertaking, and we see the same faces every year that's on those committees. So it can be mentally and fatigue draining, and at the end of the day, you put the time and effort in to make it work. And I always said, Mount Pearl is known for its Frosty Festival, and it certainly shows because the events are phenomenal, and we have the events are sold out, and it brings the community together. So it's something we can certainly say that it's a signature part of the city of Mount Pearl, and I just want to commend everybody again for the time you put into it and all the work you've all done over the years. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll just sum up and say thank you to our staff for playing a bigger role this year. So Jason Collins as director, congratulations to you for getting us this far. And we're very confident we're going to be having, under your leadership, as well as Allison and Rosie's, of course, and Jennifer Jones and others, we're going to have a nice week-long party, something for everybody, as one of you said. So we look forward to breaking up the short days and the long winter nights of the month of February. Thank you very much, and I think it's good to move on now in the agenda, and I believe the city received some correspondence related to Municipal and Provincial Affairs Long Service Award. And I'm happy to present, it's not from the city of Mount Pearl. See you later, Frosty. But it's from the Department of Municipal Affairs, who recognize people who've got accumulated service, and I'm telling you folks, public service is hard. But for 12, 16, 20, 25, 30, and 35 years of service, and I'm really glad to present this on behalf, I guess, of the minister, to our very own Councillor Jim Locke, who served for 16 years, and I've served with you, Councillor Locke, Jim, for the last 14, and it's been my pleasure. We all truly have seen you build up a respectful, hardworking resume that's done this city a lot of good. You've been an important cog in the wheels around here. And if the old saying goes, for most politicians, you like to see leave the place a lot better than you found it. I think you've accomplished that with your exemplary service. And I'd like to come over. We want you to sit where you are and invite council colleagues to come over, and we're going to present this certificate to Councillor Locke, right? Yes. One way or the other. Mark, you want to go on the other side of the bill? I can't use the balance. Hard at work, guys. Hey?
16 years, a long time.
How's it felt, Jim? Thanks, Mark. Thanks, guys.
Oh, surprise.
So we kind of kept it as a surprise, although Municipal Affairs has known this for a long, long time. But I'd like to invite Councillor Locke if you'd like to respond.
Well, thank you, Mayor. It was a surprise. You did a good job keeping it unknown. Yeah, 16 years is a long time. It is, but it isn't, because it passes by quickly. But I've been very fortunate to serve with councillors for the past 16 years that share the love of community that I have for the city of Mount Pearl, and are committed week in, week out to come together, have discussions, have debates. But the ultimate goal, we're all rowing in the same direction. We want the same thing. and we want the city of Mount Pearl to be a place where people love to come, live, work, have a family, raise their family, participate in our activities, and retire here eventually. So again, I've been blessed to serve with good counselors over the years, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the senior staff that have supported me over the last 16 years. As we all know around this table from the council end, we rely on data, sound advice that plays into our decision making. And we've been blessed to have the solid senior management staff that we have here. And it trickles right down through the organization. You know, the senior management advises council, but then again, all of our staff members then, we make the policy, pass it on to the directors, and then our city staff carry through on the policies of council. And we have wonderful, wonderful staff throughout the city that make this place such a wonderful spot, you know, to live and to work. So again, I was caught off by this, but I do appreciate it, and I appreciate all my council colleagues around the table. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, back to work, as they say, hey? So you see next council in correspondence, you see a memo there from to mayors and councils here at the city of Mount Pearl, throughout the province, from the the Municipal Assessment Agency's Board of Directors, and it's an update to December 5th, 2024, a little bit of a review and year in review. Suffice to say, the assessment agency does good work for all municipalities. I think they serve all municipalities for assessment purposes, except the city of St. John's, which does their own. So for your perusal, if you have any questions, please talk to the city clerk and we can get them off to, I believe the chair is Betty Moore, is that right? Yeah, on top of it all. So there you have it. Any thoughts, or I should move on, I guess, in the agenda. Okay, so we have Corporate Services and Public Works. Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much. The first item on our agenda this evening is the invoices for approval. The committee recommends that the following invoices totaling $550,675.79 be approved for payment. Council, as you can see there in your kits. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Lane, and thank you. Second by Councillor Rice. Any questions, comments? Councillor Rice.
No, I just want to take a couple of seconds, you know, because we always talk about our regional services. So I just want to bring up, you know, a few comments on our water consumption for November month, and also our St. John's Transportation Commission, number 17, 94,000, and also our paratransit for 30,000. You know, we certainly pay our share of our regional services, and it shows. And I just want to make a comment on our water services and our leak detection system, because I can't imagine what the cost would be per month if we never had our phenomenal leak detection service and our and the staff that really do a great job at that. And through last committee, we did have a comment saying that from Director Dalamont, saying that the city of Mount Pearl is at an all-time low on how much water we've been using. I can't remember the amount of years, Director Dalamont, but you made a comment. You want to comment on that for a second?
Yeah, sure, Councillor Rice. So as of our last invoicing date, yes, as you alluded to, so since we've been keeping track of it since 1997, it is for 2025, it is our lowest consumption to date.
So for 27 years, I want to make that comment on the great job we're doing with leak detection. And we also, you know, I just want to make that clear, you know, we do pay our certainly pay our shared services of the regional services around here. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we use the resource very, very wisely. It's good financially, but it's also good so that, you know, at the end of the day, Mount Pearl can continue to grow. So any other comments on the payment register before I call the question? All in favor? Unopposed? That's carried. Back to you, Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is the payment register and purchase card report. For the information of council, the following payment register for December 5th, 2024 to January 8th, 2025 totaled $3,624,726.95. And the purchase card report for October 26th to November 25th, 2024 totaled $363,831.21. And that was for information purposes only.
Go ahead, Councillor Fry.
Yeah, it's just a quick question. I notice on this list, there are 3 payments to the City of St. John's, all on the same date for the same amount. Thank you. I'll let you go ahead.
Those are just monthly fees. So our total share to Regional Fire is billed, it's billed monthly. And so the 466,443.92 is the monthly cost for 3 individual months billed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's wise to hold on to our money until we have to spend it, right? So if City of St. John's doesn't want the money right away, I think that's a good thing. If it was me, I'd have the bill out right away. Back to you, Councillor Lane.
Okay, next is our facade improvement program application recommendation for 17 Sagona Avenue, Pro Marine Dive. The committee received an application for the facade improvement grant program from 17 Sagona Avenue, Pro Marine Dive. The applicant has met the criteria and can receive up to 50% of total project cost, up to a maximum of $10,000. The judging and selection committee has reviewed, scored, and evaluated each application based on the project criteria and the submission criteria. The Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends approving the facade improvement grant to the property owners of 17 Sagona Avenue in the amount of $7,840, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Rice. Any questions? Call the question. All in favor? Contraminded? Carried.
Okay, next is the direction to sell 20 Bannister Street. The committee was advised on October 16th, 2024, the city issued a notice of arrears pursuant to the City of Mount Pearl Act, RSNL 1990, C16 section 161.1, and posted on the subject property pursuant to section 161.1. Pursuant to section 161.3 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, the 60-day time limit indicated in the notice of arrears has passed, and the council on the application of the city clerk shall by resolution direct that the property be sold. So it's a recommendation from the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee that council direct the property be sold pursuant to section 161.3 of the City of Mount Pearl Act. And I so move.
Yep, moved by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Rice, and 2 people to speak. Deputy Mayor, followed by Councillor Mantle, please. Okay, deferring to you now, Councillor Randall.
Yeah, 2 questions, 2-part, I guess. First one is, how will this be advertised? Will this be in the paper or real estate? And secondly, what paper? The second one would be, if we get over what the arrears were, what happens to that cash? Thank you.
So pursuant to the City of Mount Pearl Act, it does have to be advertised in the paper every single week for the next 30 days. We will push it out just slightly beyond the 30 days just to ensure we meet the requirements of the act. And with respect to the proceeds of the sale, the city is required to get at least what the notice of arrears states is the debt owing to the city, and any excess above and beyond that will be held in trust for the property owner.
Just to follow up, well, with the Evening Telegram, I mean, I don't even know if that's an entity anymore. So do we have another alternative besides the Telegram?
The act states a local paper, so it could be anything that is published within the city.
The Pearl posts once a week typically, so does the Telegram now. So there is an active paper, but I know from the tendering process, the fact that it can be put on a similar website electronically is still generally good enough. But I guess the intention is to spread the news because we want to sell the property so we can collect the money, right, at the end of the day, and any further funds will be dispersed. I think Councillor Locke has his hand up next.
Yes, Mayor, just for consistency's sake, I haven't spoken to this issue from the get-go. I've withdrawn as a potential, interest, family interest here or conflict, perceived conflict. So I'm not going to partake in the vote on this one. Thank you.
Further comments from anybody in the room, please? Hearing none, I'll call the question, and I thank the city clerk for that information. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried.
I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Councillor Rice now.
Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. On to our committee report for number 5, our 2025 Public Council meeting calendar. We're doing a revision here. So further to the adoption of the 2025 Public and Committee of the Whole meeting calendar, December 10, 2024 public meeting by motion 24-12-682, that the public and the Committee of the Whole meetings previously scheduled for January 7, 2025 be rescheduled to January 14, 2025. I so move.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thanks.
Next one is for information purposes. It's about our accessibility plan for 2024 to 2026. So in 2024, the City of Mount Pearl adopted its first accessibility plan and committed to providing an inclusive community, ensuring that all individuals have equal access to city services and programs in a way that respects their dignity and independence. By identifying, removing, and preventing barriers to inclusion, we're creating a community where everyone can thrive. In accordance with our commitments outlined in the accessibility plan, the city completed a number of projects in 2024 which enhance accessibility in our city. Some of these highlights include completed public engagement on accessibility by hosting a town hall meeting and conducting an online survey, installed an accessible ramp on the stage at the Reed Centre and explored procurement of accessibility lift for the Glacier stage, enhanced accessibility of City Hall washrooms, completed upgrades of Branscombe Pond and Powers Pond trails by replacing wooden paths with granular stone, expanded sensory-friendly swim sessions at the Summit Centre, installed rest stops along Admiralty Walk, offered staff training on accessibility and inclusion in the workplace, and completed accessibility upgrades at the Team Gushu complex, including accessible bleachers and walkways. As we continue our investment in improving accessibility in the City of Mount Pearl, we have committed to the following projects in 2025: creating a full accessible boardroom at City Hall, ongoing training for city staff, construction of an accessible website which will follow a YCAG-2 accessibility guidelines, 2.1 accessibility guidelines. And what this is people with accessibilities won't have to look for those. So what this means, the WCAG 2.1, it will make it be easier access for people with accessibilities to access that information. You can read up on it. I Googled it and read up on it. Installation of privacy blinds at the Summit Centre to enhance more diverse participation in our swimming program in a safe and welcoming environment. Investments in upgrades at the Glacier to enhance its functionality and accessibility, which will better serve athletes, performers, and the wider community. improving the T-rail crossing on Commonwealth Avenue, making it safer for pedestrians and cyclists, enhancing accessibility at our T-rail during early morning and evenings by installing lighting along its entire length, and completing the construction of our new accessible community centre, which we're all looking forward to. The city continues to welcome feedback from the community on how we can continue our journey to creating a city that is accessible to all. If you have any questions, suggestions, or concerns, you can contact the City Accessibility Lead at inclusion@mountpearl.ca or by calling 709-749-1148. And that is our report on that one. Next one is our Public Works report. You want me to stop to see if anybody got any questions on that one?
I was just,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to invite comments or just questions, but I was going to say congratulations to you. I know you sat on this committee. And all those items you mentioned in terms of what we're doing in 2025 are all funded by council. I think congratulations to council is in order. There's a lot of good stuff, progressive stuff happening. Council has a great commitment towards it. The accessible website, Councillor Rice, is that in addition to the current website, or is that a total redo of our mountpearl.ca as it stands?
I can comment on that, but I think we're doing a new website on that one. I think, can't we, Director Pittman? Yeah, we're doing a brand new website, accessibility website.
So basically, we're sort of killing two birds with one stone. We're bringing that up to date. It's a little bit long time in the tooth, and also then making sure that we meet that standard that you talked about, right? You know, so congratulations as well to not just to you, but the staff that were involved in that committee. I know City Clerk and Director of Corporate Services and former CAO Spurl were face and eyes, as they say, on the issue. So that's progress. Councillor Antle.
Yes, it's a job well done, I think, and I think we're all talked to it. But anything we do to make it more accessible within the city, you know, and with new eyes, looking at things that we can make it better at all times. I'm sure Deputy Mayor can talk to that one. But I'm really happy to see, again, the approved the trailway crossing at Commonwealth Avenue. I could be remiss if I didn't bring that up. And the lighting on the trailway. We're getting so many comments on that. Anything to make our trails more accessible is always good. And it's a job well done, and thank you everybody who has participated. Thank you.
And over to you, Deputy Mayor Kiley. I think you can speak, Deputy Mayor, from a personal perspective for sure.
Thank you, Your Worship. And certainly to Councillor Endel and your comment, I certainly can speak to this one personally. But I wouldn't be remiss I say that there's probably many of us around the table who have someone in their life or themselves at one point have had an issue with how they're able to be accommodated, whether that is a physical barrier, intellectual barrier, and all sorts of ways in which we see a seen and unseen disability. But I do want to talk about it personally because my viewpoint and my change and my perspective on what it means to be represented completely changed throughout my tenure here with the city. And it's no secret to know that I was involved with an accident that rendered me with a disability where I am an above knee amputee. What that meant and how that meant, I am still understanding and figuring out. What I can say is that the city, throughout my journey, has been along with me on that, step by step, alongside me, and I think we have a lot to be proud of, and we have a lot to be proud of because of that. Because I think we saw the part of this work that's human. And what that means is our community is full of diverse people. And representation is absolutely powerful. That if you can't see yourself literally, physically in a building, around a table, or represented, then how can you see yourself in that role? And when we mean about what does that mean to be independent? What does that mean to have a fulfilling life? What does dignity mean? I've been challenged with all those things in a lot of ways over the past couple of years. Personally, different places. And it's been difficult. However, it's also been a way in which I can see so much more that I wasn't aware of before. And I just want to say this type of commitment to the city and to see it laid out in a way that it's multi-year, thoughtful, creates an inclusive, a very all-encompassing idea of accessibility is incredible. And I think all of us have a lot, all of you, I should say, all of you have a lot to be proud of, and I am incredibly grateful of absolutely everybody around the table for your input and your understanding personally. And I know that sometimes as people in our roles, actually, Jim, you had mentioned that leadership sometimes is about planting trees that you don't get to have the opportunity to sit in the shade, right? And I already am seeing the benefits of some of these things laid out. And I think this is one of those things where we're planting a seed that now we will see so many individuals see themselves in places that they couldn't otherwise. And it's not for a matter of trying. It's not for a matter of want or wanting to be a part of that. It is simply the barriers that exist. So I just want to say how tremendously important this is. And as a municipality that we see our responsibility, that I absolutely want encourage and want to see this at our provincial and federal levels, but the more as a governing body that we take leadership around this, be proactive and find a reason why it's important rather than it's easy to find why not, what is going to put us on the right path. And we certainly are on a great path towards this. So I want to thank everybody. I'm happy to be a part of this. And it means so much to me, but it also means so much to the city.
All right, so Councillor Rice, I think we're going back to you, sir. Thank you for the update on accessibility, and over to your Public Works update.
Thank you. And, you know, the accessibility plan is not just something that's going to be finished up, I wouldn't say in 2026, because, I mean, we always got changing environments and changing requirements, I'm sure, for building codes. So I'm sure going forward, we have a lot of work left to do, but I'm sure into the future we'll have changes coming as well and to adopt those in the city. So the next one is our report actually on I get down here now. A Public Works status report. The following status report is provided for information. Under our roads division, our winter shift schedules are underway. Under our parks division, our trail maintenance is ongoing. Under our fleet division, service and maintenance continue. With winter equipment and maintenance is ongoing. And under our UTM division, general calls for our water and sewer repairs and our water levels at Bay Bulls Big Pond as of January 2025 are attached here in your kit. And you can see there the levels are up at 38 feet, which is really phenomenal, the highest levels we've had in a lot of years. And I just want to, you know, make the comment because we have also brought this up. I think we're entering into week 9 now. Is that right, Director Dallemont, of our snow clearing? So keep your fingers crossed, and we hope for a great winter. Thank you. That's our end of our report. Thanks.
Any final comments for Councillor Rice? Hearing none, I'm going to move to RCS, Recreation Community Services, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 items here, quick items, so I'll take both of these. The first has to do with the Glacier Arena, our public skating schedule for the winter for 2025. just for the information of the public, the schedule is posted throughout the facility as well as on the city's website. So we're getting back into the routine now of the winter skates, and just want to let folks know that we're back to our regular schedule. The second one here, Mayor, has to do with the procurement group Canoe, for the soccer field turf and our turf replacement at our soccer field down at Team Gushu. Our committee is recommending approval to enter into a contract with Field Turf USA Incorporated for the removal of the existing turf surface and the replacement of turf with infill reuse at the Mount Pearl soccer field based on a proposal received through Canoe Procurement Group of Canada and Sourcewell in the amount of $1,243.49 exclusive of taxes. And this is a project that we've worked closely with, Mayor, as we all know around this table, with Mount Pearl Soccer. And I met with an executive member at the Glacier this past weekend, actually, at my grandson's hockey and their son's hockey. And this was brought up, and they are very pleased with the work and how council worked with them and supported them to bring this enhancement to an amazing facility already. So again, the amount is $1,243.49, exclusive of taxes, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke, seconded by Councillor Fry. Now, Councillor, I was part of a field turf replacement here in the city, some 15 years ago, but we always did a tender back then to acquire it. There was competitive bids, large amounts of money. You folks are tabling a motion for $1 million. So I'd like to go into the direction of this procurement program and how this exactly works, because it's not typical, is it?
Thank you, Mayor. I may defer to the Director. I think there were some synergies here with this particular turf replacement, but I'll ask if. Okay.
The Canoe procurement program, it's a national program. All the procurement is done ahead of time. Our neighboring municipalities went through a similar program when they did their field replacement. In this case, this company is actually the company that installed the original turf as well. But correct, there is some synergies when it comes to the replacement of turfs in the region, but this is just a national procurement program. The procurement's done ahead of time, and companies would post to this group of what they'd listed on their procurement site.
So under the Public Tender Act, I believe this is flagged as an acceptable way because it was adopted by the Department of Municipal Affairs, M&L, I think, and of course the city of Mount Pearl, right? So that would just be the brief explanation. I hate to be sounding so technical, but when you spend $1 million, that accountability through the bidding process is still there. It's just that the Canoe program adds a certain layer to it. Any further comments? Councillor Randall.
Just a quick question. I did have a question from a resident. What will happen with the old turf? And is there an opportunity to buy it or give it to them, or can we sell it off, or what can we do with that?
There has been some discussions. Other municipalities I'm aware of have done it in different ways. As a public body, we just need to make sure we're open, we're transparent of how people can access it. There will be a public process is probably the safest thing to say at this point.
Just to follow up, thank you. Just maybe you can go back to committee, but before we sell that off, we're going to put it down to spring. It'd be easier to sell it off while it's on the field because people can buy, 50 by 50 or 100 by, right? It might be easier.
An example, like a neighboring municipality set up days and times where people could come and get it. As long as they had the transportation, because it was the cleanest, most efficient way to reuse the turf, because it's deemed not playable when it comes to sport, but for aesthetics and for people's landscaping and other things, it could be used.
Yeah, as I understand it, it cannot be reused for a turf field somewhere else and likely will be disposed of, not in the garbage, but first in smaller chunks. Councillor Anthony, you okay with that? We'll send that to committee, of course. Anybody else? Yeah. Hearing none, I'll call for adoption of the motion. All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Easy to spend $1 million, isn't it? Engineering and Development Report. Councillor, I think Deputy Mayor Kiley is first.
That would be us, Your Worship. So we have 3 items on our agenda this evening. I will take the first 2, and I will hand it off to my co-chair and colleague, Councillor Antle. So the first item that I'll be covering is the building and occupancy permit listing between the time of December 2nd and December 31st. And just a note, there's a lot of exterior renovations that are happening in December, and I think that constitutes the weather we've been seeing. I really hope to see the same amount in January, is all I can say to that. So the Planning and Engineering and Development Committee recommends that the residential and commercial building permits issued for this period have a total construction value of $1,794,350 be approved. And furthermore, the occupancy permit lists be accepted as presented. And as you see, Council, you see that in your kits as presented. And I so move.
Part 3 is $1,000,007. Total Fishery Section 1 and 2 is $1,007,000. That's for both. Yes, there you go. Yeah, I'm with you now. Just wanted to clarify part 1, part 2. You're moving the whole works,
That's correct.
including the occupancy permits.
That's right.
All in favor? Those opposed?
Thank you. And that leads me to my second item. Our second item is development permit listing. Again, the timeframe is December 2nd to December 31st, 2024. And the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee recommends that development permits issued for this period be accepted as presented. And I will just note that's in your kits, the information. And I so move.
Thank you. Moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley, and second by Councillor Antle. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. And now I will hand that off, hand the rest of it off to my colleague.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And this is mostly for our information. It's capital projects updates with regards to our multi-streets, Carroll Drive and Farrell Drive. They're all complete with some deficiencies remaining. Birch Avenue is complete and there's some property reinstatement remaining. With regards to Northlands, and we're looking forward to that, Farrell Drive to Evans Place, the design is ongoing and the tender is anticipated to be out by mid-January. Farrell Drive Pump House, which is exciting, is the tender is ongoing and the tender should be anticipated spring 2025. White Boulevard Linear, design near completion, the tender should be out this winter. Water Tower, which is great to see, this design is ongoing and the tender is anticipated this winter. Water Tower on Taverner Road, the design is ongoing and that tender is also anticipated this spring. Our Sora lift station, which is needed, is design is ongoing and the tender is anticipated this spring. Olden Street, lots of work on the go, guys. Design is ongoing and this tender is anticipated 2025. Jackman Drive, the RFP is to be issued this week and designed for the winter of 2025 and tenders to be anticipated this spring. Lots of work on the go, and that's everything for our committee, Your Worship.
Thank you. We're running a little bit long, but we have an opportunity for a quick roundtable, and I'm going to start with Deputy Mayor Kiley.
Thank you, Your Worship. And it's great to be back at this table in the new year. And this is an exciting time to have our community guests to join us for, I can't believe we're talking about Frosty, but I'm happy we are. Councillor Fry had identified the Pearl Pulse as a great way to understand and check out everything for the Frosty Festival. I wanted to highlight this document again because it is an incredible piece of material that's going to be landing in mailboxes and also available digitally with regards to what is going on, what's happening in Mount Pearl. And I really recommend folks take a good look because it includes everything from our Parks and Rec, how to get involved and get engaged on community events such as Frosty the Festival, but also it talks about the city and the plans that we have put forward in many ways. And specifically, it's focusing on our municipal plan. And there's a section called Come to Grow. This beautifully encapsulated, and I have to thank the Corporate Services Committee that oversaw this because it is a combination of taking a lot of information about the city and putting it in a way that's effective, engaging, and it's wonderfully outlined. But I just wanted to recognize some of the key focuses that we're talking about. I think Councillor Rice, you mentioned that accessibility is not just the next couple of days. This is a long-term commitment we are building. And you certainly are someone who's spoken out on that. Similar to that is our municipal plan. And I just wanted to focus on two items that are so important about that is the work that we're going to be doing around our public transit improvements and the plan that's going to be outlined there. And also a lot of the excitement that's going to be happening north of Southlands and the redevelopment work. It demonstrates how nimble we are as a city and ways in which we are ensuring that you as residents have had input. So one of the great things that I just want to highlight about talking about our strategic planning and some of the items that we're going to be focusing on over the next couple of years is how we have come to that. And it's not, and you know, that means ensuring that our residents are a part of that we've got a tremendous amount of data and important information at our hands. And more importantly, that it is something that is tailored to what is only uniquely the city of Mount Pearl. So that's just an item I wanted to focus on. But again, this is a tremendous piece of material that I thank all of our staff and directors who have been a part of this. And it's for winter 2025. So don't just think it's a Frosty Festival. Take a look, and it's going to be utilized. Keep that on wherever you put that. I put mine on top of my refrigerator. And it used to be because there used to be a phone next to my refrigerator. But I just kept that going. And I just probably demonstrated my age a little bit. But I don't care. But thank you very much, folks, for all that's part of that. And that's all for me, Your Worship.
Thank you. I guess it was a rotary phone. Councillor Antle.
And I never had my microphone on for that, Your Worship. So, first of all, it's Happy New Year, and we're all welcome back. And it's been a great New Year. We're such a busy city. When you look at our agenda and everything that's happening, you know, there's so many things happening in the community. And I started off the new year really well. On January the 1st, we welcomed a new addition. For all those people out there in TV land, we welcomed a new addition to our family. My daughter gave birth to a baby boy, Bo. And he was born 125, so that makes us 5 grandchildren. So yeah, hey, we're nice and busy. Also, on January the 5th, myself and Councillor Rice and Councillor Lane attended the Pentecostal church service. And it was a great service, and they started off the year, and it was a good service to start the new year that way. But one of the things they gave us a declaration, which I promised I'd pass out to each one of you guys. And it's a declaration that they give to all the residents, all their parishioners, to how they start their year. But there's 20 declarations. And if you just read 1 or 2 of them and you made your life by them, you'd make you a better person. And one of, you know, I won't read them all out, but I'll just pass them out. But it was a great service, and I appreciate that. And I'll lay it on your list. And Happy New Year. Go Bo.
Thank you, Councillor Antle. Over to you, Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to actually comment on the, while we're on the Frosty Festival topic, still looking for volunteers. So under the City of Mount Pearl site, there's a link there where you can go in and fill out the volunteer form, the application form. So because I know last year we had a lot of people come up after the Frosty Festival was over and asking how they could volunteer for the Frosty Festival. We're always looking for volunteers. Starting to lose my voice now. So they're always looking for volunteers and, lots of numbers for those big events. So, if you're interested in volunteering, jump in on that volunteer site, frostyfestival.ca/volunteer under the City of Mount Pearl site. And also I wanted to comment on the Pearl Pulse. As co-chair of the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee, that came under our department. And I just want to say we started that, I think this is our third one, and put out. And I think it was phenomenal to have this put out, the Pearl Pulse. Before we just had the garbage collection and route snow clearing and bulk garbage put out on that, but now it's all consolidated under one Pearl Pulse. I think it was phenomenal to put this in the city, on the city's agenda to put out to the residents of Mount Pearl, because let's face it, not everybody got a computer they can jump online. So by getting this Pearl Pulse, it's certainly you can sit down and have a read, and there's lots of good information in there. And the advantage we got here is that we can certainly put in that whatever we want, whatever we need to get out to residents. So I just want to say big kudos to everybody who had a part in putting that Pearl Pulse together. That's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you. And Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you much. Over to you, Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much. Just a couple things for me. First of all, I want to say a big congratulations to St. Peter's Junior High Grade 9 girls basketball team on taking silver this past weekend at the Python Invitational Tournament. So congratulations to them. I mean, if I was going to stay here all night and highlight all of the wins that we've had in Mount Pearl and our sports teams, I'd be here for quite a while. So I'm just going to mention the one for this evening. I also wanted to mention, I was just made aware actually not long ago that apparently the Mount Pearl Library has little packages for preschool students where they give them little free books in preparation for school, which I think is amazing. I mean, I wasn't aware of it, so I'm sure other residents wouldn't have known as well. But apparently all you have to do is go to the library and you show them your little slip saying that your child attended preschool, and they'll give you a little package with some free books and activities to do with your child. So I think that's wonderful. And that'll be it for me this evening. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Over to you, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one thing for me this evening. I know it's been a few weeks since we had our last public council meeting, but I wanted to refer to what's been happening. Well, not what's been happening, but give an update on things since the violent incidents that we had here in the city. And just wanted to inform the public that we are working with the Department of Justice and Public Safety on a community safety well-being plan for Mount Pearl. So this is this plan refers to the ideal state of community where everyone is safe, has a sense of belonging, and as well as where individuals and families are able to meet the needs for education, healthcare, food, and housing, etc. So this plan will require a long-term collaboration of efforts to address the root cause of this crime. As we all know, it's a very complex problem. But it's important that people know that we are working on this. Discussion at these meetings is based on the community conversation that on our public safety meeting, which took place at the Reed Center on December the 3rd. So it's important that people know that this is not forgotten, that we are still working towards this, and that's where we are at the moment. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I think a week from tonight, we will be tabling the summarization of the results from that particular public meeting hosted by you and Councillor Locke. That's for the next agenda. But now for roundtable, over to you, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, further to what Councillor Fry was saying, because several residents did reach out and wondering when we're going to provide. This is what we heard from our December 3rd meeting. And I just wanted to say, as you said, that council will see this later this week, and then we'll be prepared to table it and speak to it at our next public meeting. I have a couple of things here. First of all, congratulations to Councillor Antle on the new addition. They just bring such joy into our life, so I'm so delighted. on little Bo joining the family. Speaking of family and family celebrations, the first night celebrations, I just got to commend our staff for the skating, activities and the celebrations at the Glacier this New Year's Eve. My 3 grandchildren and I and my wife and their parents attended it, and I was very impressed with the turnout, number of people that came out, and the number of new Canadians that came out and were participating in that. It was just so nice to see, such a great way to kick off, the new year. And the kids, of course, really enjoyed the skating, but they loved the treats on the way out, Director. So I just wanted to throw that. That was just such a nice touch, and it brought a great big smile to their face. I just, 2 other things, quick. The old pool, I was down to look at that. It's demolished. It looks great, and I'm looking forward to the expressions of interest being forwarded. And I just want to leave off again by thanking my council colleagues for the recognition of the 16 years. And as I was thinking about it, I received a 12-year award or recognition. And at that time, you had secretly told my family to come down here, and we got a snap taken with it. But I want to certainly extend my sincere appreciation and love to my family, because we all know, even our directors, that we can't do this job without the support of our family at home. And since my time on council, my family has expanded. I got 2 beautiful daughters-in-law and 3 beautiful grandchildren. And someone asked me what motivates me. Well, like all my council colleagues, that's what motivates me. I like to plant trees so my grandbabies can sit in their shade. And I love it when we bring in new initiatives, be it inclusion, recreational facilities, because I know the smile that it brings to my grandchildren's faces. And I know we're doing great work for all the residents in the city of Mount Pearl. So again, I want to extend a huge thank you for the 16 years of sacrifice that my family has made, which allowed me to serve in my role on city council. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir, very much. Well said, well deserved. I'm here for the wrap up. I'm just going to say Happy New Year. It's good to see everybody back, and we look forward to having a great 2025. And with that in mind, I'm going to call for a motion. I'm looking at Councillor Locke, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Thank you. We are adjourned.